Oh, what does that say? Storage full.
But that's mic 2. We don't have a mic 2.
What are you talking about?
It's saying
Mic 1 and mic 2. Burr.
Burr. What are you talking about?
Burr.
You drove in your truck. I'm the one who rode here.
I don't care. I'm still Burr. I've got a t-shirt on. I've got a long sleeve shirt on. I've got a hoodie on, and I've got my coat on.
This is the news last night said this is the first big winter storm of the year. It's like thousands of miles across the central USA.
For reference, it's January the 4th, 2025 in Charleston, South Carolina, and we've had one cold snap this season, this winter season, and this happens to be the second one.
The first one was during Duke's Chilly Willy weekend.
Yes, it was just a couple of weeks ago, as a matter of fact.
If you went to the Chilly Willy weekend, let us know in the comments how well you slept that night.
Yeah. So an apropos subject of our weather conditions would be a way to keep warm when you're on the road.
Yes.
Camping or otherwise.
Absolutely.
Have you ever heard of Wim Hof?
I have, because you told me about him.
Yeah, Wim Hof, if you don't know, you should Google him. He's quite an extraordinary individual. He holds the record for swimming under frozen lakes. He's climbed snow-covered mountains in just shorts and tennis shoes. He has breathing techniques. He takes cold plunges, the whole 9 yards. My point is, when you're deciding what it is that you're going to do to keep warm, you can start with the Wim Hof method, which is just immerse yourself in the cold and deal with it.
Yep, get used to it.
I'm not that guy.
He also trains a lot of high-end athletes. You know, I'm a big fan of tennis, and you know, a lot of them for recovery. They do an ice bath after a hard workout. He
suggests it at the beginning of the day, a cold shower, just to get you woke up. But that's another subject into itself. Today, we're talking about the methods and accoutrements that you would use to keep toasty.
Do you want me to give them a couple of tips on how I got here on my bike?
Please go for it, because you do have to get to your campsite.
True.
So let's talk about briefly. Let's talk about how you stay warm on a motorcycle.
Very briefly, just a couple of tips if you're a new rider or if you want some ideas on how to stay warm while you're riding. My Aprilia Tuareg 660 does have heated grips, which is great, but they really only heat the underside of the palm. So for long distance riding, you really need some heated gloves of some sort.
Yeah, heated gloves.
We have a video on our channel with the Iron Gias heated gloves, and I love them, especially for around the town riding. I also have a hot wired heated jacket, and I have the matching hot wired gloves, the heated gloves. And they plug into a little pigtail wire that comes out of the jacket. The problem with that is
you plug it into your bike.
If you're just running errands, you're on and off, you're running into the store and you got to unplug everything.
Right.
So I like the Iron Gias because they have batteries in them. Built into them.
Right into the cuff.
But the heated jacket is the next thing I would highly recommend if you ride and you get cold. One of these things on, it's like having a warm quilted blanket underneath your riding gear.
Yes.
Love them. I also have the heated insoles that plug into the hot wired, and they're great for long distance trips again, like when we've done some of our MABDR and some of our other longer trips in the colder weather. They were fantastic.
Out west for the tat?
For the tat, especially on those high elevations.
Yep,
I wore those a lot. Keep your feet nice and toasty.
Yep.
Other than the fingers and the toes and your core, you should be good to go when you're on a motorcycle.
Wear a gaiter.
Wear a gaiter or a balaclava.
Yep.
I love that word.
Balaclava. It's very Russian. Staying bundled up on a motorcycle is very important in the wintertime. But you know what gives me the warm and fuzzies for real? Rick Stewart, scmotolawyer.com. Give him a call at 1-855-GET-MOTO if you ever find yourself in a problem on the road in the summer or the wintertime. Here's the information on the screen. Rick Stewart is an ADV rider just like us. He knows the hardships, riding in the cold, riding in the sweat, riding in the summer. scmotolawyer.com, Rick Stewart.
I'd like to take a moment to thank the Oaks Private School for sponsoring this episode. The Oaks Private School is an accredited school catering to families who want to educate their children in their own home. The Oaks Private School, or TOPS, provides a transcript and a diploma that is accepted by universities worldwide as well as the U.S. military. Educating your children at home is a personal choice for many reasons. The Oaks Private School gives families that option, especially if the family travels consistently, if the students are athletes or actors, if the parents work internationally, or if they simply want to take personal control of their children's education. TOPS offers a wide variety of curricula to fit the learning style of each student, whether it's an online or a traditional style. So please check out their website at www.theoaksprivateschool.com to learn more or to set up a counseling session with one of their professionals. Thank you for taking a moment to check out TOPS.
So then once you get to your campsite, that covers you on the getting there. I mean, you can't do much more than that, except maybe I'll put a rain jacket on to break the wind. Right? Break the wind. Insert YouTube clip. But once you get to the campsite, there are a few things that, come to mind that are obvious, right? You don't want to sleep directly on the ground. Let's say, for example, you get lost in the woods. And it's really cold. You don't want to sleep directly on the ground, so pile up some leaves, put on all the stuff that you rode in. You have the heated vest there. Sometimes I have a heated vest as well. It doesn't have any arms on it. You have a heated jacket with the sleeves. I have one that doesn't have the arms on it. I feel like I don't like the restriction, and I can layer up enough. Layering up is another thing. Keeps air is the insulator, not the actual clothing. Fabric. So if you get a puffy jacket, there's air in the puffy jacket. So I'll get one of these and a battery that can go in the pocket that I'll wear on the bike, and then also you can wear it while you're sleeping.
In your sleeping bag, yep.
So there's another one, a good sleeping bag.
Same with me, my little hot
yes, you have a top.
It plugs into the top don, which I use for jump starting my bike, has a port in it, and it's a battery brick as well, but it has a port that allows me to plug my heated jacket in. That's a nice way to stay warm in your your tent.
So with that being said, I said, one of the big deals is don't sleep on the ground, because that's where all the cold comes in, right? So pile up some leaves, do what you got to do, get a space blanket, one of those, the silver shimmery space blankets, put that down, or get you an Amazon cheapo inflatable, with an R value of 1, because, a little bit's better than nothing. Or you could go anywhere in the gamut, all the way up to possibly like an Xped Mega Mat with an R value of something like 412. So, but this is crazy. So if you're sleeping,
what is it like? Really 8 or
it's like 7. Yeah, it's like 7. But again, that's big and bulky. You have to weigh the pros and cons and how you are actually going to camp in a tent. In a bivvy, in one of these, right? So you have to decide how it's going to go. But for a tent, a small pad.
The Big Agnes ones that we use are pretty good.
Yep, we have a sleeping bag. Oh, we have the Big Agnes sleeping pads have about a 4-ish, and they're inflatable as well.
That helps a little bit.
But the sleeping bag is important as well.
Yes.
So if you would talk about, the types of sleeping bags and the potentials of those being, warm.
Well, a lot of the cheap sleeping bags that you can buy online, of course, we have spent tons of money on the cheap stuff and realized it wasn't going to work, and ended up just being a waste of money. But you can buy these cheap sleeping bags that have synthetic material in them. They do great if you're just camping in light spring weather or something like that, but you really want a good down sleeping bag if you're going to be really doing this right. And we have a video on the channel if you want to check it out. We absolutely love the Big Agnes Diamond Park sleeping bags.
And their whole system. Because the sleeping bags go with the sleeping pads. We have a video on that. You can check it out. But in the summertime, you can get away with just about anything.
Correct.
If you're going to be into the cold, you need to go ahead and put some money into it if you're going to be
I would say it's a big investment, but it's going to be an investment that lasts you a lifetime of camping. So just invest in something really, really good. Of course, our friends at Moto Camp Nerd are really good at guiding people to what's going to be the right fit for them. So we highly recommend that you contact Ben and Mary at Moto Camp Nerd when it comes to your sleeping system.
Yeah, and one thing you take into consideration is, yes, it is an investment and it will last a long time. But one of the things that you kind of find important is if you don't get good sleep, you're not going to have any energy. If you don't have any energy the next day and you're riding on a bike, that could be you need to take those things into consideration. It's not necessarily you're being royal. You're not being royal, and it's not. You need to get good sleep. You need to be comfortable. It's kind of important,
especially if you're on a big trip and you end up riding a lot of miles the next day and you're not well slept the night before. Then that becomes dangerous, right?
That's right.
Well,
so
what about with the truck?
Yeah, let's move up out of the tent now. Let's say you upgrade and you want to go, overlanding style or whatever. Now the options are outstanding.
Oh, before we change to the truck though.
Okay.
A classic great way, the Nalgene bottle.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Just boil some hot water, put it in your water bottle, stick it in your sleeping bag, and that'll keep you nice and toasty until you fall asleep.
There it is. There it is. Once you get to a certain age and you want to get up off the ground and you want to expand your possibilities for camping and traveling, maybe you want to go overlanding. Well, I got a pickup truck.
Yep.
Totally opens up the possibilities. So we have a lot of power options now because you have big batteries like the Blue Eddy here, and then you have another backpack Blue Eddy that I have here.
So this has a battery built into it.
It has a battery in the back of it. Yes, in fact, we can take a look at that really quickly. Up the top, it has opens from both sides. We can do another full video on the review of these. But here is where you can turn it on, and on the other side is the plugs. Okay, and they have regular household plugs, right?
As well as USB.
As well as USB. That's right. That's right. And you can get them in varying sizes, et cetera, et cetera. But what it does for you is it opens up the possibility of power.
Yep.
Right. So in this particular instance, I've got a couple of demonstrations or examples of. I have 2 electric blankets. Both of the blankets are powered, of course, but they are different styles.
Okay.
This one has a regular plug, just like the wall plug, which means you can plug it into any of these power outlets, just like that.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yep.
But because it has a regular power, it has to use an inverter in here, which means it's going to draw a lot more power to power the blanket than would be the second example, which is a 12 volt. 12 volt being a cigarette lighter style. Right
so it
there.
Doesn't have to change the energy from 120 volt down to 12. It's already done.
That's right. So in this particular case, I could plug it right into the 12 volt hole, right?
Yeah.
Now what happens is with this side, you don't have to turn the inverter on, so it pulls half the wattage. So you get double the time.
Okay.
This particular one doesn't have a 12 volt, it only has the inverter. This one has the inverter, so you can pick the battery style that you want, right?
I wonder if anybody makes a heated blanket that's like USB or USB-C.
Absolutely, they probably do. If they make the vests, they probably do.
Okay.
These heat up faster and hotter than would be a USB brick.
Okay.
Simply because we're getting so much power out of these. And
USB I think is what, like 5?
Yep. The other thing you can look at and take into consideration is that when you're using these blankets, they do draw a lot of power, right? So, but a lot of these have timers on them. So you're not going to need, if you put this electric blanket inside a really good sleeping bag like Big Agnes, it's going to not, you're not going to need it all night long.
Right.
You turn it on for half an hour, it's going to keep you warm for 3. You
Gotcha.
need a bump in the middle of the night, you hit it again,
turn it back on.
and you can set a timer for, an hour, 2 hours, whatever. It's cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Let's take one more step up.
I don't have one, so I think this is great. I appreciate you showing me, and you'll have to send me some links.
Oh yeah, it's just an Amazon special. I bought whichever ones were the cheapest at the moment because I just wanted to make sure that it all worked.
Okay, gotcha.
Another one is if you're in an enclosed area like this, you're up off the ground already, so you got the insulation, you got the wind off of you with this heavy, you can use a space heater. So I have 2 examples here. One pulls 200 watts, so you have to do the calculation. So it's going to heat up this area really quick. I use this in my office when I'm working at home underneath the desk. My dog likes to go outside. I leave the door open a lot. I put this underneath there to keep my feet warm. But it pulls a lot of heat. Then you get another one. This is a $20 buy on Amazon. Now, it'll take a little longer. It's a little bit pocket size, but if you're in a tent or you're in a rooftop tent, it only pulls about 100 watts.
Or if you're sleeping in your bed of your truck.
Or you're sleeping in the bed of the truck.
Or a van or something like that.
Exactly, right.
And this one plugs into AC power as well?
Correct, they both do. So you'll have to use one with an inverter. So you would use this one. But look at that. So many options to stay warm these days. And these can be, you can get solar panels
for, so you can recharge every night.
them every. So, I mean, staying warm it's 2025, man. Staying warm is easy.
You don't have to be Wim Hof anymore.
It helps, but no, you don't. And toboggan, keep a lot of heat is left through your head, so make sure you cover your head at night. Those kinds of obvious things.
I carry a beanie.
I have one in the drawer.
And of course, you always have a hoodie. So those are great ways to keep the heat from escaping from your head. I will tell you that if you want to conserve on energy, like if you are camping or something like that, it is a lot more economical to simply heat the inside of your sleeping bag and not the entire tent.
Correct.
So some of these options where you're heating the whole space around you, you are of course wasting a lot of energy letting that heat dissipate through the cracks in your tent and so on. So just heat your sleeping bag if you are worried about power consumption.
Right.
But if you want to have a nice toasty interior to the back of your truck when you wake up in the morning,
Yeah,
one of those.
just pop one of those on until you get out, and when you get out of the, a couple of minutes before you get out of the sleeping bag, or the vice versa, start it before you get in,
Yeah.
and you'll have 15, 20, 30 minutes of warm, so you can get undressed and inside the bag and all that kind of stuff. So these are just creature comforts, man.
Yeah.
But why not? At $20 for a little heater, and a couple of $300, $400, $500, depending on the size you want there.
Yep.
Bob's your uncle.
Of course, if you're super cheap and you're just a caveman out in the middle of nowhere, just light a fire. That's all you need.
So hit the like and subscribe button. Tell us what you do to stay warm, and as they say, stay toasty, my friends.